What's good, family? We back with another video, presenting facts over fiction to give you the knowledge you've been missing. So please put your emotions to the side and make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Now, family, today we're going to be talking about Queen Mother Audley Moore, who was a civil rights leader, a black nationalist, a reparationist, as well as a Pan-Africanist. Now, family, I know that we have rejected Pan-Africanism, and this video is in no way a promotion of Pan-Africanism. Quite the contrary. This video will be more of a critique and a lesson on what not to do moving forward. Like I mentioned in my manipulation tactics video, we must not fault the ancestors and elders for doing what they thought was right at the time. We just need to learn from their mistakes and not repeat them. Now, with that being said, let me give a brief backstory of our Queen Mother. Now, Audley Moore was born on July 27th, 1898 in New Iberia, Louisiana. Her involvement with activism began in her teenage years, with Moore and her sisters mobilizing their neighbors during World War I to provide aid to black recruits upon learning that the Red Cross was only providing sustenance for white soldiers. Her sister, Eloise, would establish what would be called the first United Service Organizations in Anniston, Alabama. She found a space in an unused building where black soldiers could go to relax, a privilege previously only afforded to white soldiers. Queen Mother would soon learn of Marcus Garvey and went to hear him speak in New Orleans in 1920. By this time, Moore had married, and she and her three sisters gained a new consciousness of their so-called African heritage. After listening to Garvey's speech, Queen Mother would begin preparing herself to move to Africa with her husband. However, after facing family issues, she would remain in the United States, moving first to California, then to Chicago, before settling in Harlem, New York with her husband and sisters in 1922. Moore would go on to join the International Labor Defense and Communist parties around 1933 and would become an instrumental figure advocating for the release of the Scottsboro Boys in Alabama. If you're unfamiliar with that case, please check out my video, American Justice, the Scottsboro Boys. Now, Moore would work with the communists for many years before resigning in 1950, due to believing the party was no longer working in the best interests of black people. After leaving the Communist Party, Queen Mother would become a lifelong member of the Council of Negro Women, the UNIA, and the Civil Rights Congress. She was also the founder and president of the Universal Association of Ethiopian Women, as well as the founder of the Committee for Reparations for Descendants of U.S. Slaves, and was a founding member of the Republic of New Africa to fight for self-determination, land, and reparations, and a co-founder of the African American Cultural Foundation. In 1957 and 1959, Moore twice presented a petition to the United Nations arguing for self-determination, arguing against genocide, and for land and reparations in the form of cash payments up to $200 billion to compensate for 400 years of slavery, which in today's money would be approximately $2.2 trillion to be given to foundational black Americans who wish to return to Africa, as well as those who wish to remain here in America. In 1962, Queen Mother moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and joined the National Emancipation Proclamation Centennial Observance Committee, or NEPCOC for short. Around the same time, that group was overhauling its mission, transitioning from a commemorative organization to one that was active in the fight for civil rights. In April 1962, the group held All Africans Freedom Day celebration, where the NEPCOC announced its national mission to fight for reparations. While it appears that this action may not have materialized, the NEPCOC did organize a series of lectures on the topic of reparations, some of which included Queen Mother as a keynote speaker. In 1964, Queen Mother founded the Eloise Moore College of African Studies, Mount Addis Ababa, in Parksville, New York. During the 1970s, Queen Mother would travel to Africa multiple times, attending various conferences and celebrations, but would never take up residence or citizenship in any country there. In 1990, Queen Mother would return to Africa once more to meet with Nelson Mandela after his release from prison. Her last public appearance was at the Million Man March in October 1995. Queen Mother Audley Moore would pass away about a year and a half later on May 2nd, 1997, at the age of 98 years old. Now, family, I'm going to play a few clips of an interview with Queen Mother Moore from 1985 and give my thoughts after. So let's take a look.
How did you become known as Queen Mother Moore? Well, that name was bestowed upon me by the African students, first of all, as a result of my years of activities in this country. They gave it to me. And when I went to Africa, to Dr. Nkrumah's funeral, the chief heard about me, and he sent for me to come to him. And I went, and he said, I'm going to make you officially Queen Mother of the Ashanti. And he initiated me Queen Mother. But I was Queen Mother before I went to Africa.
I understand that you sent a petition to the United Nations in, I think, 1957 for reparations for the black people in America. Explain something about that to us.
Yes, the petition called for us to go back to Africa, for those who wanted to go back. And for those who wanted to stay here, there had to be certain indemnity given for the people who wanted to stay, the people who wanted to go.
What kind of indemnity?
Well, I was asking for $200 billion. $200
billion to indemnify?
Yes, for the injury that we have received. The injury as a result of our enslavement.
Okay, that's for our 400 years of enslavement.
Yes.
As reparations, we requested $200 billion.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, when you sent this petition to the United Nations, what kind of response did you get?
I got very good response, but he told me that we needed a member nation to introduce the resolution, since we were not officially members of the UN.
Is this with your work with the Republic of New Africa?
No, that was not. I went as a member of the Ethiopian Women, the Universal Association of Ethiopian Women.
I understand that you founded that organization.
Yes.
And what was that organization about?
To save our men from execution. They were being executed at the rate of 2 a week almost. There was somebody being executed.
Then unjustly executed?
Yes, we felt they were unjustly executed. And we tried to save some of them. We did save some.
Mention a few.
From execution. Labat and Poret. We saved those. We saved Jenkins. We saved another brother.
Well, there was a number of people that were saved from execution because they was unjustly charged with crimes.
Yes.
And where did this take place?
In New Orleans.
Okay,
Louisiana.
You're from New Orleans,
yes.
I understand. I understand that you was instrumental in breaking Jim Crow in the baseball league.
Yes. You know, at one time there was Jim Crow in the league that blacks couldn't play. And the people, especially the Jewish people, was fighting Jim Crow in the big league. And they asked me to head the committee to fight Jim Crow in the big league. And of course, I was a Negro then. I used to be a Negro. And everything sounded good to me. The Negro fights Jim Crow and that kind of thing. And I fought Jim Crow. And I didn't realize what I was doing. If I hadn't been a Negro, I wouldn't have fought to get a Negro in the big league. I wouldn't have did that. I would have fought to get a team in the big league. One of our baseball team, we had great teams. I dismantled the teams. My work dismantled the teams. We had neighborhoods where our ball games would play, and the children was happy, and the old ladies was selling pies and things at the ball games, and children was shining shoes, and we had hotels, and It was something when they had a ball game in town. But all of that's dismantled. All of that, there's no more hotels or anything. You see, Jim Crow has done away with all of that.
Excuse me. Queen Mother, you said that you were a Negro at the time, and you wished to, and you wanted to, you wished that you had put teams instead of individuals into the league. Was you instrumental in getting Jackie Robinson into the league?
I was interested in breaking Jim Crow, and yes, Jackie came as a result of that. And Statue Page and all of those people, I didn't know them, but they all was employed as a result of breaking Jim Crow in the big league. That's right.
I was in a library not long ago, and I saw your picture in the main library at 42nd Street in New York. What was that about?
Well, the Schlesinger sent throughout the country, they gathered pictures of the outstanding women, the most militant women, the women who have made the greatest contribution, over 70 years old. They had to be over 70.
How old are you now?
Yes, I'm 87.
87. Right.
Yes, I'm 87.
And these women were over 70 years old?
Yes, they had to be over 70 years old. And I was one of the 10 outstanding women that they had in the country. And they made my picture.
That was a great honor.
Yes, it was. It's very great. And they put it in the library.
Okay, and also in the...
on 42nd Street and in the Schomburg Library.
And I think there was a meeting there at the Schomburg
Yes.
also
Yes.
commemorating the women who were
Yes.
selected. Yes. We have not much time left in this program. And would you be able to sum up what you think a message, let's say for black youth or Africans, that would help them in knowing themselves and being a contributor to their race?
Yes, well, I think the most important thing is to study and to find your name, who you are, to get a name for yourself. You have to get a name. Don't go through life with a European name. You've got to put down that name. Just take a name. Just take an African name and name yourself. And learn who you are. That's the...
How would you suggest that a young person go about that?
Well, you got to look yourself in the mirror. Who are you? Who are you? Most of our people don't know who they are. They don't know. They think in European. They don't have a mind of their own. They got to get their right mind back. They can't think. They can't think. I don't care if you have your PhD. Don't tell me you've gone to the best colleges. The best college didn't give you your identity, didn't give you a national identity at all. You've got to be able to comprehend what you're thinking. You've got to be able to understand and think for yourself and stop thinking in the pattern that the other people want you to think all the time.
You think this begins with taking upon yourself an African name?
Well, yes.
And that has a
Yes.
great significance and, I guess,
Yes.
influence over the mind.
Yes.
I know it has for me.
Yes.
So you suggest that the young black people take upon themselves an African name
Yes.
to get to know who they are.
That's right. I didn't have to change my name because the Moors was a great nation of Africans. You see, I didn't have to do that.
So you were born with an
Yes,
African name.
I was born a Moor. Yeah.
Very good.
Now, family, that was a shortened version of the actual interview. I cut out a lot of the conversation about Queen Mother's work in Africa as it does not pertain to us as foundational Black Americans. Now, if you would like to view the full interview, check out the link in the description below. Now, before letting you guys go, I just want to comment on a few topics discussed in the clip. First, Queen Mother mentions that she was received positively at the United Nations the 2 times she petitioned for reparations for foundational Black Americans. Now, I personally am no fan of the United Nations due to the fact that they nor their predecessor, the League of Nations, has ever came to our defense here in this nation. The UN was formed in the aftermath of World War II with the primary goal of preventing future global conflicts and fostering international cooperation. Think about it, family. There were foundational Black Americans getting lynched and being denied GI Bills on their return home from World War II, and the UN never stepped in on our behalf. So all in all, I'm not sure how positive they received our demands for reparation at that time, and I don't really see them advocating for us now either. Next, I want to talk about Queen Mother's involvement with the so-called integration of Major League Baseball and the aftermath of her activism. Now, I may be mistaken, but Queen Mother actually sounds somewhat regretful for pushing for the integration of foundational Black Americans into that league. Why don't you go back and take another listen? From what she says, it sounded like we had thriving industries surrounding our numerous baseball leagues that disintegrated after desegregation. The ironic part about all this is that currently foundational Black Americans are almost non-existent in Major League Baseball. The percentage of Black players in the MLB has been declining for decades now, from a peak of 18% in 1991 to just 6% as of opening day 2025. Furthermore, as we know, many of the Black players in the league are Afro-Latino, so the percentage of foundational Black Americans is probably much lower than 6%. I think we should look to start our own sports leagues, as the current ones are not actively recruiting our youth as they have done in the past and are looking to replace us with foreigners. Also, as we saw last week with the Shedeur Sanders situation in the NFL draft, it is becoming more apparent that these sports leagues do not value our talents and would rather break our young men and women's spirits and run their organizations like sophisticated plantations. Finally, I want to address what Queen Mother says about us foundational Black Americans not knowing who we are. Family, we know exactly who we are. Now, Queen Mother comes from a time in history where we did not have pride in being Americans due to our second or third class citizenship in this nation. Regardless of our status in the United States, we are 100% American. We are the original Americans. We are indigenous to the United States. There was no United States before us, and there will be no United States without us. Now, I am not patriotic by any means, but as a foundational Black American who has traveled throughout the world, I am well aware that I am a North American and I am addressed as a United States citizen no matter where my feet land on this earth. All of my family is buried in the United States. None of my family has ever been to Africa. We are centuries removed from that continent, and we do not need to look there for pride and strength when we have ancestors who fought and died right here on this soil. So I do not agree with Queen Mother's stance on our collective identity. But what do you think, family? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Peace.